The legal and political worlds are reacting forcefully to President Trump's controversial pardon of Joe Arpaio. The former sheriff of Maricopa County, Arizona, was convicted last month of criminal contempt for violating a judge's order not to detain people suspected of being undocumented immigrants.
Arpaio was to be sentenced in October. He faced up to 6 months in jail. Joining us from our Washington bureau to discuss the pardon is Jonathan Turley, a law professor at George Washington University. Jonathan, good morning.
Thank you.
We've seen presidential pardons before. This isn't new, but why is this one unusual?
Well, it's unusual in a number of respects. First, it's very early. Presidents often get to pardon work towards the end of their terms, particularly when they're heading out the door. And the second reason is that this is a relatively minor offense. You're talking about sentencing that would be equivalent to a misdemeanor. Third, presidents usually wait until after sentencing to see what a court ultimately hands down in terms of punishment. All of those things obviously were departed from here. But the biggest difference is that it does appear that President Trump circumvented the normal process. It does not appear that the Department of Justice and their pardon office weighed in here or signed off on this pardon. And that's important because the Justice Department's in a position to look at these cases and put them in context.
The Department of Justice has specific guidelines for pardons, does it not? I mean, is a president bound by those guidelines?
He's not. The pardon power is almost absolute. I say almost because there's a limitation on its use in cases of impeachment. But what is troubling for some of us about this pardon is not the application to the immigration controversy. The most troubling thing is that this is really about the rule of law. A court issued an order to a sheriff. He disobeyed that order, not just for a week. It's not like he did a couple of arrests and finally got the message. He ignored it for 17 months. And it's very important for police officers to comply with court orders. They sign warrants, they limit abuse. It's a dangerous world if law enforcement just flagrantly disregards those orders.
And maybe not even just law enforcement. What about the message that this sends to other government officials as you talk about the fact that this was a disregard?
Well, it sends a troubling message, and it's certainly not going to help President Trump's greatly deteriorated relationship with the judiciary. I mean, for judiciary, this is the coin of the realm. A judicial order and compliance with orders is what holds our system together. Now, having said that, in fairness to the administration, other presidents have engaged in political pardons. Bill Clinton abused pardons to a far greater degree. He used it for his own family, his friends, political donors. Frankly, it was pretty disgusting at the end of his term. But this is nonetheless troubling in a different way. The thing that holds us together as a nation committed to the rule of law is our belief that we comply with these types of court orders. We can appeal them, we can disagree with them, we can challenge them, but you comply as long as they're valid. For a law enforcement official to disregard a court order is a dangerous thing.
Lawrence Tribe, who's a fellow constitutional law professor at Harvard, said Friday Arpaio's pardon gives the middle finger to courts and the Constitution and signals total contempt for the rule of law and for human decency.
Well, I think Larry's point is a good one. I think that we have to move beyond the subject and the controversy underlying this case. We can disagree about immigration, but we have to play by the rules. And the most important one is that we have a court system to challenge these types of things. Now, it's true this is an 85-year-old man, someone who had not committed an earlier offender, has spent a lot of time in public service. All of that is factored in generally at sentencing. And indeed, President Trump could have simply negated the sentence. He could have allowed this to go forward. If he did that, Arpaio could appeal his conviction, but not face any jail time. Those are the types of things that the Justice Department weighs in on as they go to a president and say, look, these are your options. But I have to say, I would be very surprised if the professionals at the Justice Department would have recommended this pardon. I would expect the president would have gotten a great deal of opposition from the Justice Department. These people have got to go into court, and they tell judges, we will comply with what you say. This pardon doesn't say that.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Didn't mean to cut you off there.
Thank you.
Running out of time. We appreciate the perspective. Thank you.